So Donald Trump decided to write what might literally be the single worst op-ed of all time. I don't think I'm exaggerating. From beginning to end, it's just packed full of lies. So he wrote it in USA Today, and it's about Medicare for All. He wrote an op-ed specifically on the issue of Medicare for All. By the way, shame on USA Today for running that. Now, some people might say, oh, come on, Kyle, that's crazy. He's the president. He could write an op-ed wherever the fuck he wants to write it. But if you're USA Today, and USA Today, for the record, is not known as like a right-wing outlet. It's known as almost like a very wishy-washy, neutral, centrist outlet, if you will. Your job in the media is supposed to be to fact-check those in power and to give people news and information. And what they're doing here is abdicating that responsibility, and they're just letting the president of the United States do rank propaganda, factually untrue bullshit, riddled throughout that article, and they just present it as if it's like, oh yeah, this is one side of the debate. Yeah, but if you're doing your job, you would say, hey, here's the 17 different areas where he's just flat out incorrect. And to be fair, like NPR, for example, did an article where they fact-checked Trump's op-ed, and they go, no, he's wrong here, 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 and here, and here's the reality of the situation. Yeah, that's what the job of the media is supposed to be. You're not supposed to be a stenographer to people in power, and that's what USA Today did. They acted as a stenographer to Donald Trump. They just wrote, hey, here's what he says. I mean, honestly, it's comically dumb. I mean, if you stop and think about this in the context of, imagine an official state enemy of ours. So, take, for example, the Grand Ayatollah in Iran. If he wanted to spread his propaganda and a news outlet in Iran goes, okay, here, just write whatever you want and we'll show it to the people. What would we say about that? We'd go, oh, so you're doing state propaganda. That's what that is. You're not doing your job in the media. You're not fact-checking. You're not giving information. You're not trying to be objective. You're just doing propaganda for the government. That's what that is. So if they do it, that's what we'd say. When it's us, it's like, it's normal. That's not normal. That's not fucking normal. So if you run it and check his ass, that's one thing, but they ran it and they're not checking his ass. And it's just, I think how bad the op-ed really is leading to this reaction from me, because it is, I mean, seriously, probably the worst I've ever read. So here's what he titled it. Democrats' Medicare for All plan will demolish promises to seniors. That's already wrong. That they have this new talking point on the far right, and I'm amazed that this is the point that they all sat around and said, okay, we agree to do this one? Yeah, let's do that talking point. Because at face value, it's absurd. Their talking point is, oh yeah, if you do Medicare for All, then you're actually hurting Medicare for seniors. No, Medicare for All, by definition, is an expansion of Medicare so that everybody else can get the wonderful care that seniors get. But they actively chose to go with the talking point, Medicare for All is bad for Medicare. You guys don't really believe in Medicare. We want Medicare for all. Not only does that mean we like Medicare, we like it so much, we want everybody to have it. Yeah, but that'll be bad for seniors. How? Why are you asking questions, bro? It's so bad. Okay, so here's what he says. Throughout the year, we have seen Democrats across the country uniting around a new legislative proposal that would end Medicare as we know it. It would expand it, you jackass, and take away benefits that seniors have paid for their entire lives. Pause. Nobody's talking about taking away benefits. We're talking about expanding Medicare. So dishonest. And fucking USA Today went, yeah, go ahead. You can write this. It's cool. No problem. Whatever. It is what it is. You want to lie brazenly to the American people? Fine. Go right ahead. Dishonestly called Medicare for All, the Democratic proposal would establish a government-run, single-payer healthcare system that eliminates all private and employer-based healthcare plans and would cost an astonishing $32.6 trillion during its first 10 years. The idea that the Democrats' Medicare for All plan eliminates, he says, all private and employer-based healthcare plans. That's just not true. In fact, in Bernie Sanders' Medicare for All bill, one of the provisions is 100% explicit and clear. Oh, just so you know, this doesn't ban private insurance. So if you want to get your own private insurance, you can go right ahead and do it. This has nothing to do. We're establishing a Medicare for All system. If you want to get supplemental private care, free country, by all means, go right ahead. So when he says, oh, this eliminates all private and employer-based healthcare plans, that is just wrong. It's not a question. All it took was just the tiniest amount of research to go, oh, okay, well, that's just not true. The bill does not do that. I mean, again, shameless lies. And then he says, it would cost an astonishing $32.6 trillion during its first 10 years. Listen to me. Anybody who cites that without giving you what the cost would be if we didn't do Medicare for All is lying to you. I need you to understand that. It's not like, oops, sorry, they just kind of messed up and it slipped their mind to give you that number, the cost of what it would be without Medicare for All, the cost if we just kept going the exact same way we're going. If they just tell you the $32.6 trillion number and don't give you the other information, they're lying to you and misleading on purpose. That's not conjecture. That's the reality of it. So even according to a Koch brothers funded study, Medicare for All would save $2 trillion. Now, my guess is it would actually save more than $2 trillion. But even according to a Koch funded study, it would save $2 trillion. So, in other words, if $32.6 trillion is the cost of Medicare for All over 10 years, it would be $34.6 trillion if we just kept going exactly as is. Weird how he's not fear-mongering over that. Weird how nobody says, how can we afford to continue doing healthcare exactly as we're doing it? Which, by the way, that's the real concern. How can we afford it? We pay at least double what other developed countries pay, and they cover everybody, and they have better health outcomes. So the real question is, how can we afford our disastrous system that we have right now? But what does he do? Lies, mislead you. It would cost $32.6 trillion. Hey, Don, what would it cost if we just kept doing what we're doing now? Shh, new phone, who dis? He says, as a candidate, I promised that we would protect coverage for patients with pre-existing conditions and create new healthcare insurance options that would lower premiums. I have kept that promise, and we are now seeing health insurance premiums coming down. All right, I promised that we would protect coverage for patients with pre-existing conditions. The Trump administration right now is involved in a lawsuit to eliminate the protections for pre-existing conditions. And it's actually, honestly, it's worse than that too, because as his administration is in court trying to slap down the protections for pre-existing conditions, he's doing rallies all across the country going, I'm going to protect your pre-existing conditions. Well, then drop the fucking lawsuit. But he's not doing that. Why? Because it doesn't bother him when he lies. It doesn't bother him at all. He's like, yeah, I'll just say this and we'll do that. He says, we've created new healthcare insurance options. What are you talking about? Under Trump, you know how many people lost their health insurance in the first year? As a direct result of his executive orders that went after Obamacare. So he's basically, shivved Obamacare in the side and acted like, what? What do you mean? This is what everybody wants, right? Isn't this a wonderful thing? 8 million people have lost health insurance under Trump's first year as president. And when he says, we created new low-cost plans, Obamacare got rid of catastrophic coverage because they were scams. So in other words, they would say, look, a health insurance company would say, we offer really cheap insurance. Here, we're only going to charge you like $120 or $150 a month. And then what would happen is if you read the fine print of the plan, you get no coverage. Like, they take money from you, and then they give you nothing, and the only time they pay out anything at all, and even if they pay out, it's a tiny percentage of what the cost would actually be, it's when you're, gonna die. So the catastrophic insurance plans were eliminated because it's a scam. That's what it is. So Trump comes along and goes, let's allow the health insurance companies to scam people. And then what happens? He brags about it. I've created new healthcare insurance options that would lower premiums. Yeah, because you're not giving anybody coverage. These don't give coverage. That's why they were eliminated. It was basically fraud. And he's bragging about bringing back the plans that have fraud. So misleading. This entire op-ed is disgusting. He says, I also made a solemn promise to our great seniors to protect Medicare. You do know that his tax bill actually cut Medicare, right? He continues, that is why I am fighting so hard against the Democrats' plan that would eviscerate Medicare. Democrats have already harmed seniors by slashing Medicare by more than $800 billion over 10 years to pay for Obamacare. Pause. Pay for Obamacare? Fuck you talking about pay for Obamacare? The majority of Obamacare is the individual mandate, which makes it so that people have to buy from private health insurance. So it cut the deficit. The idea that it costs so much, I had to pay for Obamacare. Again, I don't think he understands the most basic things about our healthcare system. He really doesn't. Okay, more. Likewise, Democrats would gut Medicare with their planned government takeover of American healthcare. The Democrats' plan threatens America's seniors. The Democrats' plan means that after a life of hard work and sacrifice, seniors would no longer be able to depend on the benefits they were promised. By eliminating Medicare as a program for seniors and outlawing the ability of Americans to enroll in private and employer-based plans, the Democratic plan would inevitably lead to massive rationing of healthcare. Wrong again. So, again, we already established it's just not true that, this bans private health insurance. The Medicare for All bill specifically says we are not banning private insurance. He's like, I don't care, just lie about it anyway. And the point on rationing, this is the point that you run into the most when you talk about Medicare for All. And ironically, it's one of the most misleading points too, but it's parroted over and over and over and over. The reality is, literally every country on earth rations care. It's just a matter of how you decide to do it. Now, in single-payer countries, what they do is they do it based on care. So whoever needs care the most gets it immediately. That's the way it works. So in other words, if you have an elective procedure, so in other words, a procedure you don't necessarily need right away, then yeah, you might have to wait a little bit. You want to know why? Because the health insurance, the health care system is busy helping people who need the care right this second. It's kind of an important point, don't you think? Now, in the U.S., we ration care based on size of your wallet. So don't get me wrong, if you are, in the elite, if you're in the top 1%, if you're a fucking Saudi prince, you're going to get healthcare in America because we got the best for the very top. For everybody else, it's the worst in the developed world. Again, not an opinion, a fact. Not an opinion, a fact. Our healthcare system for regular people, the worst in the developed world. This has been studied over and over, and every report comes to the exact same conclusion. So we do ration care, but we ration care based on how rich are you. Other countries ration care based on, do you need help now? Then of course you're going to get it right now. And then furthermore, they love to come up with these individual stories. There was a guy named Ted who lived in the UK and he had a bad experience with the NHS. Obviously single payer healthcare is dumb. Tell them to take their anecdotes and shove them right up their ass. Why? There's a reason it's an anecdote. It actually doesn't tell the whole story. The reality is, in the United States of America, depending on the year, anywhere between 32,000 and 45,000 people die every single year because they don't have access to basic health care. Between 32,000 and 45,000. Harvard study came to that conclusion. That's how many people die because they don't have access to basic health care. You know what that number is in Canada? 0. You know what that number is in Australia? 0. You know what that number is in France or the UK? 0, 0. Norway, Denmark, Iceland, Sweden? 0, 0, 0, 0. So you have to understand that in order to say the things he's saying, you have to be working backwards from your conclusion. Or you have to be just massively corrupt because you're just doing the bidding of the for-profit health insurance companies. So you're like, I don't care, I'll just say whatever. That's the only way you can come to the conclusions that he's coming to. And let's face it, like I said 1,000 times already, this is just, the whole thing is a lie from beginning to end. He's just a lie, one after the other from Donald Trump. All right, more. Doctors and hospitals would be put out of business. Wrong. Seniors would lose access to their favorite doctors. Wrong. There would be long wait lines for appointments and procedures. Wrong. Previously covered care would be effectively denied. Wrong. In practice, the Democratic Party's so-called Medicare for all would really be Medicare for none. How non-witty! Did you come up with that yourself, you fucking buffoon? Under the Democrats' plan, today's Medicare would be forced to die. It would be forced to expand. The Democrats' plan also would mean the end of choice for seniors over their own healthcare decisions. Wrong. Instead, Democrats would give total power and control over seniors' healthcare decisions to the bureaucrats in Washington, D.C. Wrong. And by the way, you guys are so concerned with death panels, or so you say. You do know we have death panels right the fuck now, right? They're called for-profit health insurance companies. And they can just willy-nilly decide, yeah, we don't want to cover your surgery. So either die or go bankrupt. By the way, how many medical bankruptcies are there in other developed countries? None. How many are there in the U.S.? It's one of the leading causes of bankruptcies in the United States of America. Medical bankruptcies. That's a thing that exists here, doesn't exist there. Doesn't exist in other developed countries. Endless lies. The first thing the Democratic plan would do to end choice for seniors is eliminate Medicare Advantage plans for about 20 million seniors, as well as eliminate other private health plans that seniors currently use to supplement their Medicare coverage. All lies. Next, the Democrats would eliminate every American's private and employer-based health plans. Notice how he's just repeating the same lies over and over. It is right there in their proposed legislation. No, it's not. The opposite is in the legislation. Democrats outlaw private health plans that offer the same benefits as the government plan. Americans might think that such an extreme anti-senior, anti-choice, and anti-consumer proposal for government-run healthcare would find little support among Democrats in Congress. Unfortunately, they would be wrong. 123 Democrats in the House of Representatives, 64% of House Democrats, as well as 15 Democrats have already formally co-sponsored this legislation. Democratic nominees for governor in Florida, California, Maryland are all campaigning in support of it, as are many Democratic congressional candidates. Yeah, it should be more. And by the way, if the Democrats shy away from pushing Medicare for all now as a result of this Trump op-ed, they are the dumbest people politically on the planet. Because he's giving you a gift. The gift is, hey, I'm arguing against healthcare for everybody that's cheaper and better. And my guess is, especially among like Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, because they already don't support Medicare for all, they're going to, behind the scenes, they're like, you have to stop talking about Medicare for all. We're going to get clobbered by the Republicans. Or, Chuck, you can, I don't know, what's that word I'm looking for? Respond. Like, you have the ability to fight back. And you have a political winner here, 100%. 70% of the country now supports Medicare. 70% of the country supports Medicare for all. Did you know even a majority of Republicans support Medicare for all? It is wildly politically popular, and that's only with a handful of elected officials, Democratic politicians, actually making the case. So Bernie Sanders is making the case, Ro Khanna is making the case, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who's not even in Congress yet, is making the case. So honestly, stop and think about that. There's only a handful of people even making the right points on Medicare for all. And it's already 70% popular. Imagine if the entire Democratic Party got on the same page and all pushed the proper arguments and all said the things that I tell you guys on a regular basis. Like, oh yeah, would save $2 trillion and you cover everybody and we cut our healthcare costs in half. Just imagine for a second if every Democrat was like, you do know we're the only developed country that doesn't have one version or another of a single payer system, right? You do understand that we rank last in the developed world. You do get that, right? If every Democrat made this point, I swear the polls would be like 95% in favor of Medicare for all. Not even kidding. So Trump is giving the Democrats a giant gift here. I mean, seriously, this is like, here, enjoy. Thank you. Clobber me over the head with this. But I bet you most of them run scared. Don't do it. Don't do it. And furthermore, this is interesting. You know who else disagrees with Donald Trump on this? Donald Trump.
Premiums are going to come down very substantially. The deductibles are going to come down. It's going to be fantastic health care. Right now, Obamacare is failing. We have a failing health care. I shouldn't say this to our great gentleman and my friend from Australia, because you have better health care than we do. But we're going to have great health care very soon.
Everybody's got to be covered. This is an un-Republican thing for me to say, because a lot of times they say, no, the lower 25%, they can't afford private. But
universal health care.
I am going to take care of everybody. I don't care if it costs me votes or not. Everybody's going to be taken care of much better than they're taken care of now.
The uninsured person is going to be taken care of.
They're going to be taken care of.
How?
I would make a deal with existing hospitals to take care of people. And you know what? This is probably...
Make a deal. Who pays for it?
The government's going to pay for it, but we're going to save so much money on the other side.
That is only 2 examples. There are about 4 or 5 others. I need you to understand that. Donald Trump, he was on one of the late night talk shows one time talking about how he was in Scotland and his buddy, broke his arm or something like that. And he went to get help. He walked in, got all fixed up, got his medicine, was sent out the door, and it cost $0.00. And Donald Trump's like, that's amazing. Why can't we have that here? That'd be tremendous. We should do that. So they're just a litany. There used to be an article on a conservative website. I forget the name of it. IJR or something like that. Yeah, something like that. But we covered it back when I first saw the article. So back maybe 2 years ago or so. Yeah, probably a year and a half ago. And it listed 5 times that Trump argued for a universal healthcare system, a single-payer system. And so in preparation for this clip that I'm doing for you guys right now, I went to go get the examples again so I could read you all of the examples of Trump arguing for single-payer. They pulled the article. You want to know why? Because it's a conservative outlet. And they were like, oh shit, this is actually being used to clobber us. This is being used to point out Trump's hypocrisy and to show Trump used to be correct on the issue of healthcare, and now he's just a standard run-of-the-mill elitist douchebag Republican. And let's be clear, that is what it is. So this is the guy, I'm against the establishment, I'm populist, I'm going to look out for regular people. You heard some of the stuff he said there as well. And then now he's like, okay, what's Mitch McConnell's position on healthcare? I agree with everything he says. That's what I want to... So in other words, you are the establishment bitch boy that you used to rail against. So you're a fraud. You're a con man. So old Donald Trump was correct. Donald Trump from back in the day talking about single payer was correct. But now, probably getting some of that sweet, sweet for-profit health insurance money, maybe some of that big pharma money sprinkled in. So you say, fuck it, let the American people get price gouged, let their healthcare suck. And I'm just going to lie. I'm just going to lie and say, Democrats are going to fuck up Medicare by expanding it and giving it to everybody. That's what's going to happen. They hate it so much that they want to expand it. That makes no sense. I don't care. I'm just going to say it. 70% of the country wants Medicare for all. Democrats, you better stand up and fight back. You better say thank you and use this to make your case, because, I mean, honestly, like I said, I couldn't craft in a lab a dumber argument for the other side. They're arguing against giving people health care, which is cheaper and better. I mean, think about how stupid that is. In a lab, I couldn't craft a better opponent. Because, thank you. Thank you for giving me an automatic victory, you jackass. But watch, I bet many of them shy away. Don't do it. Don't do it. Pull the Ro Khanna move. Ro Khanna did this in a committee hearing. He said it was on healthcare, and he read quotes, and he's like, you know who said those things? Donald Trump. I agree with Donald Trump. Let's work in a bipartisan way and get Medicare for all. He read the old quotes of Trump on universal healthcare. That's how you fight. That's how you fight. Call him out. Call him out. Make your case. So this is shameful and embarrassing how many lies are in this. Shame on USA Today for doing such a horrendous job. I mean, honestly, you guys should fucking, oof. And for the record, this is why people are coming to new media, including to YouTube, to get news and information. Because USA Today, yes. But a world-renowned name. But a big name in media. Yes, very much. What wonderful work they do. They follow the United States of America, and they give the news widely spread publication. And this is what they're doing? Here, we did state propaganda for our dumbass in chief, and let him get away with everything. Well, thank you for opening up the door for outlets like mine to step up and do just the bare minimum and tell you guys the truth, and as a result, we get views.